friend to the end. Heidi ho.
Oh my god. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Guys, I am super excited for today's interview. By the title of the video, you guys see today I got the one and only Alex Vincent, best known for playing Andy Barkley in the original Child's Play and Child's Play 2. So here we go, guys. Before we get into the interview, if you are not yet subscribed, what are you doing? So be sure to subscribe right now. Turn on post notifications so you never miss any future videos. And don't forget that all of my interviews are available on my podcast, The Rodcast Podcast Show. There'll be a link in the description for you guys to check out. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. So guys, this interview with Alex Vincent, it's a special one, guys. I am super grateful to have had him on and to be able to virtually meet him and have this amazing conversation. We get into so much. We talk about the new Chucky TV show that comes out later this fall. We do talk about what it was like him filming Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2, and then coming back for Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. What's next for him? What he's been doing this past year through the pandemic era. You know, so much we talk about so much. So guys, here we go. Without further ado, here's the interview with Alex Vincent. Enjoy. Woo! Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good.
Can you see and hear me pretty good?
I see you. I hear you.
Awesome. Awesome, man.
I sit here. All right, cool.
Awesome. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
If I could get one more thing. Here you go. Chucky, say hello.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi ho.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I couldn't think of a better way to start this interview, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
My pleasure.
Man, so first of all, man, virtually, man, it's really great to meet you, man.
Well, thanks. You as well.
Yeah, it's thank you so much for making this happen, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
How's everything in your world, man, with all this crazy shenanigans going on right now?
Well, you know, yeah, it's a tough year. I own a recording studio in Clearwater, and you know, the business model is tough enough already, trying to get money off the brokest people in the world, musicians, and add to it a pandemic. Not that many people have the extra means to work on their creative stuff, at least not to pay for it yet. So I hope that they're cranking it all out at home and waiting for a place to record once this stuff clears up.
Just before this interview started, I was hearing your podcast, which I want to bring up now, is the final note. Yeah, I was hearing the interview you did with Catherine Hicks.
Oh, great! Yeah, it was fun. I mean, if you listen to a full episode of that show, you'll hear how ambitious what we were doing was. It was live. We had a horror guest every episode. We had some sort of social topic to discuss. I played a bunch of music that I recorded at the studio over the last 7 years for like commercial breaks. We also had a live musician every episode performing live, sometimes a full band. So yeah, we were really trying to do a lot with that. We did like 21, 22 episodes of it. And then it just became a lot of work. I don't know. Well, it wasn't quite as fun as it was in the beginning. But we might do some more of it at some point. It was good to practice and know that I could do that and host a show like that. It was fun. I mean, everyone has a podcast these days. So, you know, I tried to make it unique and interesting. It was fun. It was a fun experience.
To take a step backwards, what was the inspiration behind, you know, first of all, just the recording studio and then the podcast and then just your love of music? Where did that all originate from?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Some people, you know, music has a profound effect on a lot of people, obviously millions and millions and the majority of people. But I guess some of us, it really occupies our time. I grew up really listening to a lot of music, classic rock, 90s grunge. I mean, I grew up as a young teenager in the 90s, and music was just such an important thing in that decade in general. And it was exciting to go back and fall in love with bands like the Beatles and the Doors. I was such a huge Doors fan. And so, yeah, I just always kind of was attracted to music in general. And then in the late 90s, I got into that techno scene. This is before it was EDM and it was just techno. And I had, like a lot of people had simple, cheap DAW acid music, Sony acid music, and I would make, produce like what would become EDM music at the time was just techno. And so I just really enjoyed that process. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a massive Nine Inch Nails fan, and just kind of Trent's approach to music, being just a guy in a bedroom by himself, working out his emotions musically, was really appealing to me. And the idea of, having control to work all those different instruments. The trouble of it was that I spent most of my childhood auditioning for things, and I didn't get that 10,000 hours on any particular instrument in. I play piano a little bit. I play guitar less. I fell in love with music to begin with. So came a point where I realized I'm not really particularly a great musician, but since I have such a passion for music, I went to school for audio. I went to Full Sail in 2009, graduated top of my class, which was such a difference from high school where I was like last in my class because I didn't give a shit. But now it's something that I enjoyed, so I took it seriously, and I learned a lot in that school. Then I came out of that school and I realized that degree, well, it's a lot of great knowledge. It's those jobs are like poke jobs, getting someone to give up an audio engineer job in a studio. There's not many openings for that. So I opened up my own spot, and I've struggled to keep it open. Some months are better than others. We worked on some really great projects. I mean, I've worked with like 250, 300 artists over the last 7 years, but it's usually a track here and there. The really big projects, for like a signed artist would go to a bigger studio, honestly. And then there's home studios to compete with. So not the best business plan, but I'm doing what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So that means more than anything else. So.
Yeah. So this past year, it's already been it's officially been a year that we've been in this pandemic. So I wanted to ask, how have you been spending your free time, other than your projects you've been working on?
Binge watching shows like everybody else.
Yeah.
I've watched everything that Netflix and Hulu and Prime and Roku and everything has to offer. I mean, for a creative person, despite the tragedy that all this is, obviously, but you kind of dream for like an opportunity to be quarantined with your thoughts, to be creative. And yet all my creative friends have agreed that the weight of this has not left them very inspired. So I did not spend this past year writing screenplays like that I have ideas for that I wanted to do, and spending more time working on my own stuff at the studio. I really didn't. I got super lazy with it. I gained 15 pounds like everyone else did. And, they tell you to stock your cupboards and your fridge and then your freezer and don't go anywhere. What do you expect to happen? But yeah, so unfortunately the year wasn't as motivating for me as I hope to use the best of that time. I mean, the truth is I'm just grateful that I haven't gotten sick yet. I hope that I don't. I know a lot of people close to me have had a really, really hard time with it. So the fact that I've stayed healthy leaves me with nothing but grateful.
There's this quote that I heard last year that they called this the great pause. That's what they called this little time period. The great
pretty
pause.
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Chucky stuff.
Get to the Chucky stuff. Here we go, man. I do want to talk about a little bit about if you have any updates on the Chucky TV show that was supposed to come out. It's supposed to come out on the USA Network or Sci-Fi. I
think
sure.
both. I think it's coming out on both at the same time, which is interesting.
Is there any updates on the show, and will you be involved?
There have been some updates recently. Jennifer Tilly signs her deal, so Tiffany will be making a comeback. Some of the cast has been announced. I think filming starts relatively soon. So that's all good, exciting stuff. As far as my involvement, I don't know yet. I don't have a deal signed. I don't have any direct plans as of now. but I wouldn't rule it out either.
Mhm.
You know, COVID slowed everything down in this production. This was,
Right.
you know, would have been in the bag already had there not been delays. So with the COVID protocols and everything, things aren't moving quite as quickly. And there's all kinds of obstacles for any production. So, yeah, they're just simply not there yet. So I don't know whether or not I'm involved, which people think I'm bullshitting them when I say that, but I don't. I really don't know yet. It's very possible, but it's also not there. I don't know. So haven't read anything. I'm still in the dark. Fans know more about what's happening than I do.
Do you think it will be a similar story to what we're used to, like Chucky the Killer Doll, or will it be a completely different story?
I know you want to get great pieces of info out of me for this, but that's not going to happen.
I want to get your opinion.
Yeah. No, my opinion is informed, so I can't share. I do know things. I do know things. I can tell you the things I know are very exciting. I think when you're 7 films deep and now trying something ambitious like a TV series in this divided country, no one's ever going to be happy. Everyone is not ever going to be happy about anything that happens ever. It could be the best thing in the world, and you'll still have a group of assholes online shredding it. They're not assholes; they just have different opinions. Some of them are assholes, but yeah, from what I know about it, I think any Chucky fan should be super excited. And maybe I'm biased because of my 30+ year involvement in all of this, but most of people's issues with the last film, some of them I agree with the last few films, but most of them I don't. I see it a different perspective than others, but you can't please everyone all the time. I'll give you an example. The multiple doll thing, the multiple Chucky thing. Spoiler if you haven't watched Cult, but if you're watching an interview with me, I assume you.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I think we've been making these films for 3 decades. I think Andy might have an advantage over Chucky right now in general. At least with the mind games he's been playing with them for the last 4 years in his cabin. So anyways, I like the odds being stacked against others. This is a 2.5-foot doll that terrorizes people, sure, but several of them really changes the stakes. I don't think that this franchise would have been nearly as successful if we tried to recreate part 1 7 times in a row. I think changes should be welcomed. Go along with the ride. Like, don't be so resistant and like stuck to the original concept that you can't evolve along with it. But I could say that about any franchise, really. You have supporters and detractors of new ideas.
You spoke openly about it in a previous interview that I watched, and wanted to get your opinion on it now. But you speak very openly that you have not seen the reboot. Is that still a fact?
That's still a fact. I have not seen it. Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about it plenty, so that there's no point in rehashing it. And I also have found that the people that are really big fans of it get really sensitive about people talking shit about it. And also, I certainly don't want to ever, like, maybe my position about that film happening, or Christine's position, or any of us. I don't want that to ever reflect negatively towards like the cast or crew. Like, we don't have any kind of animosity towards them at all. The kid Gabriel, who plays Andy, wrote me like the nicest message in the world. I'm a big fan of Aubrey Plaza. Like, I have no issues with anyone who was involved with it. I just, like I've gone into depth in other interviews discussing. We just finished Cult of Chucky, trying to get a TV series on the air, which is super ambitious. And the timing of it, if they had made a film like that and wanted to call it Child's Play 10 years after we were done, I could support that more than like squeezing it right in the middle of what we were doing, because it just confused people, and I have to answer a lot of questions. about their confusion.
Yeah, so like, my opinion on the reboot, like the movie was good. Like I thought the movie was good, but here's like my opinion for Chucky fans. If you've seen all the previous Child's Play movies, all the Chucky movies, you may or may not like the reboot. But if you have not seen any of the previous Chucky movies, you'll probably really, really like the reboot. That was my opinion when I saw it, because it was like a whole different type of story. It wasn't a serial killer. It was a robot, basically. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like if they had just used different imagery and different character names and a different title, they wouldn't have had the resistance of the fans of this franchise to deal with, and we wouldn't have the confusion to deal with. But you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I was about to say that. That's been my go-to phrase this past year. It is what it is.
Is Chucky moving over here? Chucky, are you engaging? Look at us, would you?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, another thing you speak very openly about, and this might actually surprise some of the listeners, is when you've had your first sight of Chucky, you said you weren't really scared at all.
No, well, I mean, that's the number one question of my life, is if I was scared making these films. And I guess I could understand why people would think that, but I was a super bright 6-year-old, much sharper than I am now. And I had the whole script memorized, all my lines, all everybody else's lines. You work on things 6 hours a day. You do the same scene 18 times in a row to get Chucky to move the right way. There was never an opportunity to be scared in the slightest.
So what's your from filming the first one? What's the first memory that comes to your head? Just at the top of your head when you think of the movie, what's the first memory?
The audition. Before I was even on set, I remember the audition. I've told the story many times about not wanting to say Aunt Maggie was a real bitch in front of my mother. But I can picture that room a little bit. So that's really early on. And then I remember like having lunch with Catherine at a McDonald's that was in the basement of this hotel that we were in. And it was just kind of trying to bond with her before we really got going on this. It was my first real film. She had never played a mother before, which she went on to be an iconic television mother. But yeah, at the time, so we really took the time to bond with each other. I remember that really well. I remember freezing my ass off in Chicago, waiting for the stunt guy who was playing Aunt Maggie to jump out of the window late at night. I remember that. You know, I was 6 years old, and I don't have many other memories of being 6. But I do remember things from something like this, which was so memorable. But of course, they're just like still frame, a picture or a few seconds that you can remember. I don't have any like thick, concrete memories from then, or really from last week, for that matter. So
when you finished the movie. What was going through your mind? Did you feel like, oh man, this movie's going to be a huge success? Or were you like, what was going through your mind when you finished the movie?
I mean, I don't really recall those thoughts that I had at the time. I remember being proud of it. I remember like feeling like a little disappointed that my friends couldn't really watch it in a lot of situations. So I kind of remember that feeling. They started talking about a sequel right away. So I knew that it was going to be successful, or that it was already becoming successful. So I kind of was right in the mindset of, okay, what are we doing next? Like, how do I get ready for this? You know, I took acting like really seriously when I was a kid. And then when I got tired of the auditioning process, and when I really didn't want all that much fame, and I was in high school and I wanted to just stop sitting in the car and go to auditions, like around 8th grade, 9th grade. I was like, all right, I'm done with this. And then I was really done with it. Like I didn't even think about it for many years.
What was your all-time favorite scene to film in the first one?
Anytime I get to hurt the doll, all the way up until today, is still my favorite stuff to film. So whether I'm setting him on fire in the first one, melting him with hot wax in the second one, blowing his head off with a shotgun, or torching his face, or kicking his face in. It's always very fun.
One of my all-time favorite scenes, and jumping a little bit forward, is the second one where you're tied up on the bed, and then when Kyle comes in, and you're like, kill him, and you punch him.
Yeah.
that scene always cracks me up. I was like,
We
man,
have Don Mancini has hours of behind the scenes footage from Child's Play 2 that we haven't really figured out the right way to release. Universal, I guess, owns it, so it's I don't know what will ever happen with it, but I even have a VHS of a lot of it. And there's such great stuff from behind the scenes of making all that. That scene in particular was in it. A lot of them were in it. I don't have rights to like put it all out there. I did post a little clip on my Instagram last week, though, of John LaFia teaching me how to smoke a cigarette. Pretty fun. You can check that.
Since you mentioned your Instagrams, I was gonna do this to the end, but since you brought it up now, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, yeah, Instagram's the best spot. Alex_Vincent. I think it's the same thing on Twitter. So those are the two places. Facebook, I don't really add people anymore. I need a space of people that I actually know.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, Instagram, Alex_Vincent.
For sure.
I have a lot of cool stuff up there. Stuff from my studio, some of my writing, a lot of behind the scenes pictures, fun pictures of people that I've met at conventions. I've been doing them for a long time. I met a lot of fun people, and I have a lot of really good pictures up there.
Something that I think will surprise a lot of listeners is that it took you a long time to actually get one of the dolls, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, it took me till Cult to get my own.
Yeah, because like people would assume like, oh, he's the star of the movie. Like, pretty sure. Look, like for example, like for when there's basketball games or football games, they always give the person who made the winning shot or the winning touchdown. They give them the game ball. So you would think they would give them the movie doll. Here you go, like you earned it.
Yeah, but that's an $18 football compared to a thousands of dollars Chucky doll.
Yeah, yeah, because you mentioned there was so many people working on the movie. And so many dollars. You're like, oh, they're not gonna give it.
They're not gonna give it to some bratty kid.
So, is there, other than the doll, was there any other props or mementos that they gave you after the movie?
Yeah, I mean, in the first one, the toy store that they exploded, they had all those doll boxes, and people think, looking at it, that those are all filled with Chucky dolls. They're not. It's like a plastic frame of a doll, but with the actual clothing on. A lot of them depends how close to the camera they were. We got a couple of those. I had a couple of those. My grandfather got one. I got one. I think maybe one or two other people in my family got one. Yeah, but I've since sold it because people really want that stuff, and I don't. Yeah. This is, well, first of all, this doll that you're looking at is fan made it for me. He's animatronic. He moves his head, his eyes blink, he talks. Right. But this one, that's the one from Cult of Chucky that I finally got.
Yeah, that is so cool, man.
Yeah. So that was all I ever really wanted. Any other kind of prop or anything would mean more to fans than it would to me.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So jumping on to the second one. First of all, I believe this year, or not, just this past November, it's been 30 years to the day, right? Since the second one came out, I believe.
Shit, I don't know, man. You know better than me. I thought November 9th is when they came out.
So this past November, it was 30 years. So
30 years, yeah.
First of all, congratulations on that, man. That's freaking awesome. And the fact that it's still like one of the most talked about movies to this day, which is freaking crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I just had to stay alive. That was my only job. So far, so good.
Yeah, all right. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. And this is just me creating, scenarios in my head. So the story for the second one was that, Andy's mom was, she was in a mental hospital, I believe, right? That was for the story, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever, like, I know that was like the original story, but was there ever talks about actually bringing Catherine Hicks to the second one, or was the plan all along to, she's not going to be in the second one because we got to go with this story?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. By the time I got the script, she wasn't part of it, and I remember being, a little disappointed. It was going to be something new. I didn't know what to expect. didn't know Christine Elise yet, so I didn't know how that was going to go. I loved Catherine, so I remember I was disappointed about it at first, but I mean, it was still disappointing that she wasn't part of it after that. But the second one was, a very different feel. We made it on a different studio a lot at Universal, and Don was there. He wasn't there during the first one. So Don and Christine made it comforting and fun, and John. So yeah, but as far as what their plans were, it was way above my pay grade.
And so in your, if you could have chosen the story, like what kind of story would you have come up with if you were to, do Child's Play 2 all over again? What kind of story could you come up with?
Oh, I'm not going to second guess anything for what they did. Don did a fantastic job. It makes sense to me. I mean, as far as my mother being put into a loony bin, who wouldn't be at that point? And I guess whether or not, like, Detective Norris, Chris's character, would defend her fiercely or not, I don't think it would make a difference. I think they'd both end up in the loony bin. So maybe he saved himself. I'm not sure what the fill-in story is. Nor do I really like doing that for films. I think if it's not explained to you, don't make guesses. Like, do I think Tony Soprano was killed? Yeah, I do, but I don't know. I don't need to know. That's where it ended. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I love what they did. I think the foster family thing was a great way to recreate the victimization and terror that he imposes. So yeah, I love what they did with that.
What was it like filming the end of it when when you covered Chucky in the wax? What was that? What was filming that scene like?
Super fun. It wasn't really hot, that stuff, obviously. Oh, okay. But it did come out very, very forcefully, and I was excited to do it. I got to do it twice, and I'm soaking everybody. Like they had tarps up over the cameras, and everyone was getting drenched. So that was fun. There's some of that footage also behind the scenes of me cracking up about it. And,
what?
I think they asked me, describe that. Don asks me, describe that experience in one word, and I go, yuck.
Well, how was it? Or how did,
that was an exclusive. I've never told that in an interview before.
Hey, awesome. Hey, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey. Well, how was it when Chucky's head gets bigger, when they get the air in his mouth?
I wasn't there for it. I wasn't there for that.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, what?
Missed that. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Just because Andy's in the scene doesn't mean that I'm there.
Yeah, what the hell? That's a little fun fact I didn't know. Oh, what? I was about to say because literally right after his head explodes, that's when Kyle and Andy are like trying to cover her up.
Yeah, I know Christine was there for the wrestling with him and sticking the hose in his mouth, but I don't know if she was there for the head explosion either.
Oh, what? So when
we were there for the reaction, they shot a bunch of doll foam at us.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was about to say, like, so what? They just threw stuff at you while you guys covered. Yeah.
Another take entirely. Maybe a different day. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Oh, what? Damn, I was not expecting that. Little fun fact right there. And then you also mentioned in the previous interviews that people think that factory was filled with Chucky dolls, but it was the same thing as you mentioned earlier. It was just like a picture or something like that.
Yeah, they were mostly like just the front facing part of it had some sort of Chucky enough to sell it to the camera. Yeah, and again, I think the closer a camera gets to it, the more realistic they become.
So switching gears a little bit, so far in your personal life, it could be your acting career or just life in general. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received that you still keep to this day?
Oh man, best piece of advice. No, I mean I don't know specifically if there's any quote. I mean my mother and father filled good advice all the time. So I mean I do go to them if I need to, and good friends. Christine is like my best friend, one of my best friends. I go to her all the time. I have Colleen, who has been my best friend for like 20 years. She's full of great advice. Is very, very smart. But Yeah, I don't know if there's any one thing that really stood out to me. It's just a um, collection of little pieces of things to try to help people get by, like anyone else. As far as like the process of being a child actor and how that affects your life, I didn't really have anyone to talk to about that growing up. I didn't really have peers like that. I didn't move out to LA. I didn't really become friends with other child actors. I didn't really know any older actors that went through being a child actor to talk me through some of that. My family was learning as we go with that. We were an Italian family from North Jersey, didn't have any connections to the business outside of, the good fortune of getting chosen in that audition. And just being a working actor. I mean, I had a manager but yeah, no one really was able to sit me down and talk about that, and it's not, I think the first thing people think about that is money. Like, oh, you made a lot of money and how do you handle that? Number one, I did not make a lot of money. Number two, I didn't live that lifestyle. I didn't move out to California. I didn't really, once I got to like 11, 12, I didn't really try to pursue that life anymore. So if there was advice that I would have liked to receive at that time, it would be more, how to deal with people making you a big deal when you don't see yourself as one. And luckily I had the grounding of friends that I knew before. I grew up in a small town, then I went to a high school made up of like 4 towns, like a lot of people. But those kids that I grew up with, they knew me in first grade before I was in that film, during it, after it. And they didn't make too big of a deal of it. It wasn't until I got to high school and these 4 other towns combined. And then it's like way more attention than I wanted. So yeah, how to deal with that stuff would have been helpful advice, I think.
Did it get overwhelming in high school? Like you mentioned it was too much attention a little bit, but was it a little bit overwhelming at times?
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I made the most of it. I mean, look, high school's made up of all different groups of people and different types of people. I was the kid cutting class and getting stoned on the tracks with the other kids. Like, I was not a good student in high school. And I don't really regret that, honestly, because I think I grew up in a lot of ways that, kids paying attention to their homework maybe didn't. So yeah, I mean, it's a formidable time in your life, and I don't really have any regrets for how I did it, but I did it in the more, I don't want to say degenerate, but in the more like make your own path kind of way.
Yeah.
With a lot of kids that were a lot like me. They weren't child actors, but they also were disconnected at some level and didn't really want to connect and didn't really want to go through the processes that they try to put you through. We were listening to Rage Against the Machine saying, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." Like, we had our own thing going.
You mentioned that you don't really have any regrets. So I wanted to ask, is there anything in your life that you thought was going to be a mistake, but because you did it, you were like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I'm so glad I did it.
I mean, personally, yes, there's examples of that in my life personally. But as far as like my career, when I got out of high school, after all the decisions I made while I was in high school, I was faced with, like every 18-year-old, of what I'm going to do. And college was not the path that I wanted. So then when you realize, like, well, shit, I don't have any money. I don't really have any skills. I'm creative, but that doesn't pay the bills. I could be an actor, but I don't want to. It kind of left me in a spot of not knowing what to do. I waited tables for like 17 years. And I mean, I did enjoy that. I think if there's any kind of part-time job to do, I think the service industry and waiting tables is like the best way. Especially if you wanted to take it really serious and get to really high-end restaurants. I mean, you make serious money if that's the path you want to go. Like, But I guess there were times where I felt like, man, I wish I had embraced the acting thing more, and maybe I'd have more opportunities for my life now. But I'd have less privacy and I'd have less anonymity. I really liked all the way up. I mean, all the way up until today. I go to the store. Nobody knows who I am in the store. I walk through the supermarket. I mean, I could count on one hand how many times people have stopped me and been like, "Oh, are you the kid from Chucky?" All right, maybe two hands, but that's it. Like my whole life. Like my whole life. Even after Curse and Cult, that didn't increase. If they do put me on this TV series, it's on Sci-Fi and USA, I would think that would increase, but it probably won't. And that's kind of the cool thing about being in this horror genre, this circle of very dedicated fans. Yes, if I run into a massive horror fan somewhere, they're going to know who I am. But outside of that, I really can just be, myself and not worry about that. And that's about as much fame as I think I can handle anyway. It's no real surprise to people that have not dealt with fame that people who do have a love-hate thing for it. I mean, I think some people are big hams and they just love the attention, but I'm not one of those people. I do conventions. There are times where I amp myself up for it, and that's fine. But I'm a rather introverted, quiet person that doesn't. I've also been talking about this stuff for 30 years. I've been talking about this stuff since I'm 6 years old. I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't want to be here. I don't mind talking about it, but I'm just saying there's two ways to look at it. A lot of people would think, oh, he was in a movie. That's got to be the most fun thing in the world. In many ways, it is. I'm super blessed. I've traveled all over the place. I get to travel to cities that I've always wanted to be at for people to tell me how awesome they think I am. Like, yes, I don't not appreciate that, in any way. I appreciate it thoroughly. But there's a flip side to it too. It's fucking exhausting. If I showed you my requests in my Instagram, you'd look at the messages people write me and you'd be like, dude, why are you doing this? Why don't you delete all this stuff? Why don't you get off social media? So there's always two ways to look at things. I've had a very, very blessed life, but I've also had a confusing, tiring, kind of stressful thing of being this character to people. It's a lot easier if you get really rich from the business, and you can just kind of hide away and not have social media or anything like that. But when I'm engaging, trying to keep a business going, trying to keep personal appearances, which are fun and work out well. It's tiring. I'm not complaining here. I'm just saying it's there's two sides to everything.
Right. Oh yeah, of course. So other than the Chucky franchise, is there any other horror franchise that you're really a fan of?
Oh sure, I love the Saw films. I enjoyed the Hostel films. I love the Freddy, all the Nightmare films. I'm not the biggest fan of like the slasher kind of horror. And even like people walking through the dark, like afraid of what's going to jump out at them. Like that I'm kind of sick of that. But there are movies like The Strangers. I've always said people with masks on and bags over their head right outside your window. Like that sounds terrifying. It's maybe rather ironic that being in a series that involves the supernatural and a 2-foot doll coming to life and killing you, I tend to prefer horror films that are based in potential reality, things that could really happen. When the supernatural gets in, it gets a little silly for me, but a lot of people would be surprised to find out that I'm not the biggest horror fan ever. I mean, I've done conventions for 20 years, so I've met like everybody in every horror film. So I have a lot of respect for it. Oh, sorry. I have a lot of respect for the genre, of course, and I certainly love the fan base. But yeah, I don't spend as much time watching horror films as people might expect.
So I'm a big believer in the way your day starts is a glimpse of how your day is gonna go. So I'm a big fan of morning routines. So I wanted to ask you, what is your morning routine like?
Oh man, that's kind of funny you mentioned that. I'm trying to change my morning routine actively right now.
Okay.
Number one, I need to lose weight, like everyone feels, but I do, and I need to be more motivated. I need to spend more time being creative at my studio. So I'm trying to actively change my morning routine to wake up and drink some coffee and do some exercise, maybe play a game of chess on my phone, maybe fool around on the piano for a little bit, work on chords and scales and trying to get better at it. And then, a couple glasses of water and a coffee and go down to the studio and work. That's what I would like my morning routine to be. My morning routine is usually get up, sit on the couch, go to YouTube, watch like Jimmy Kimmel's monologue from the night before, scroll through Facebook and actively hate everybody and all of their comments and all of their posts and which horror icon do you want to sleep with, or name your 3 favorite so-and-so whatever, and like all this fucking things that I just can't stand anymore. But I do it every morning without fail. I'll scroll through it like, man, my friends are morons. No, I think we all do that.
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest. We all keep Facebook just to like hate everybody else and all their thoughts. But anyway, no, I like smoke a joint and waste my day. That's most of my days go that way. Now I drag myself down to the studio. I run a couple sessions, work on a couple mixes, but my mornings are starting off much lazier than I want them to. So that's something that I turn 40 in a month. So I've enjoyed like kind of being a lazy bum I'm not really a lazy bum. I had my business open for 7 years. I worked hard in restaurants before that for a long time. I travel all the time, which really is exhausting. I mean, going to a different city for several weekends in a row is really a lot of work. Really wipes out your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because you're just kind of recovering and then getting ready. But on times that I do have the spare time, there's nothing I like more than sitting on the couch and just watching funny stuff and smoking my Florida medical weed.
And then fast forward, what about nighttime routine?
The same.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, nighttime is, for a while, it's been eat entirely too much. I think that intermittent fasting thing would be really good for me because I can go long periods of time without eating, but then once I start, it's like I cannot stop. I have to have to try a little bit of everything in my house, it seems. So that's a lot of like watching shows. I mean, I'm big on, like everyone, I'm big on TV shows and stuff. So whether it's something with streaming that I'm catching up on or trying to get through is one thing, but like having shows to look forward to throughout the week, I spend a lot of time working at my studio, but there's nothing I'd rather be doing than sitting on the couch and watching something and just not trying to not think at all. Put my brain down for a little bit.
And when this whole pandemic started, I feel like, and like, we're all stuck inside. I feel like the only thing to do was eat. So like literally, I was with my friends, and I'm like, at first, I was like, nothing really looks good. I would close the fridge, go to my room for like 10 seconds, go back to the fridge, and my expectations of food dropped. So I'm like, I guess I'll eat.
And now all of a sudden it looks all right.
Yeah. So I think we all binge eat for a good while.
Yeah. And it's hard to make changes to your mindset of, especially when you're overdoing anything. And if even, food is a great example of that. When you get into the habit of no discipline for yourself, like almost being resentful of discipline to where you don't, you're like rebellious against yourself
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat 3 bagels. I don't give a shit. You know, you get like it's not good.
Yeah. Well, what are some of your favorite foods? We'll start with breakfast. What's some of your favorite breakfast foods?
All right. Well, I'm Italian from North Jersey. Okay, so if you've never been there, we have the best bread in the world. I live in Florida now, and one of the biggest thing that I miss is bagels and pizza and just good Italian food. So yeah, the perfect like breakfast for me is the best thing that I could have would be a bagel from North Jersey, like Taylor ham, egg and cheese. See, if you're north of a certain exit on the turnpike, it's Taylor ham, egg and cheese. If you're south of that, it's pork roll, egg and cheese. And anyone from New Jersey knows exactly what I'm talking about. But there's nothing like it. A bagel from New Jersey is like this big. Your jaw gets tired from eating it. It's so worth it. That's definitely my breakfast. But when I'm trying to be better and not eating bagels and shit like that, then just like a little scrambled eggs and some grapes or something like that. Like kind of try to keep it simple, which is what I'm trying to do a lot more of right now.
Yeah.
Or I skip breakfast entirely because if there's any meal throughout the day that I can skip, it's breakfast. Like I said, like until I start eating, I'm good at not. So if I'm trying to lose weight, I might just skip breakfast entirely. Even though some people probably think that's a bad idea. But yeah, I just all Italian food. My family makes an incredible tomato sauce. So if I'm really trying to do it up, I'll spend all day making tomato sauce with pork, meatballs, and hot Italian sausage, and then any kind of pasta to go with it. And yeah, that's like one of my favorite meals. All kinds of Italian food. But yeah, I eat like you do.
Yeah.
We eat just like you do.
Yeah.
But I just eat too much of it lately. But yeah. What about you? What's your go-to?
For breakfast, man, I'm a big lover of eggs. Yeah, I don't know because there's not just because it takes a minute to cook, and I'm a lazy son of a gun. Yeah. So yeah, eggs. I love eggs with sometimes I'll throw in some chives in there or a little bacon or something like that. Stuff like that.
When I want to, I can make like incredible scrambled eggs. Like when I really want to take the time to do it right. And it's probably from watching Gordon Ramsay videos, but I can make really good eggs.
Yeah, like he has a video on scrambled eggs, and when I try following his recipe, and I'm
so
like,
good. I never have creme fraiche like he always has.
Yeah. He said it's like a sour cream.
Yeah,
but I've never even heard of it. Like,
no, yeah, good luck.
Seen it.
Yeah, good luck asking for it at the supermarket. They'll look at you like you're an asshole.
Like, yeah, can I get some creme fraiche?
What? You get out.
Yeah, at the end he throws in like there's this video he has where he makes scrambled eggs. He throws in creme fraiche, and at the end he throws in chives. But literally, I don't know what is it about chives, but every time I go to the grocery store, they're always sold out.
Yeah, yeah. Depends where you're at. They're a little hard to keep in, I guess. He puts spring onions and everything too. Yeah.
It's just not the same. People always say it's the same thing. No, it's not.
No.
Before last couple of things before we wrap things up, what's the fact about you that we don't know that might surprise us?
I never burp. I've never burped, and I cannot burp. Yeah, there you go.
You don't drink soda?
I do, and I don't burp, and it just hurts, and I just get trapped in my throat, and I'm like dying. So I don't drink soda often. But yeah, I've only met 1 or 2 other people my whole life that have also said, I don't burp either. But I can't, and I haven't, and I don't. And it sucks.
Okay. Yeah, a little fun fact. All right. So I do want to play a quick little game with you, man. I call it the hot rod seat. So basically, I'm going to put a minute on the clock, and I'm going to rapid fire some questions at you, and you just answer them as honestly and as fast as you can.
All right, so I'll answer with brevity instead of my normal long rant over chairs.
All right, here we go. Alex, you're in the hot rod seat. Ready and go. Biggest fear?
Failure.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Your go-to karaoke song?
Any Doors song.
Your secret hidden talent.
Piano, I guess.
Your childhood celebrity crush.
Kelly Kapowski.
What is one food you will never give up?
Sushi.
Ooh. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
What are you terrible at?
Sports.
Your
I love
least
that.
your least favorite fast food.
Oh, like Arby's.
Oh, that's the third time I've heard that. Favorite color?
Green or black.
For sure. Man. Yeah, like
That's it? We got through all of them?
yeah, that was a minute. Yeah, please, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I personally have never had Arby's, but every time I ask that question, like 50% have said Arby's. I've never had it.
Yeah,
That's gross.
My dad loves it, and every time he comes, oh, let's get a roast beef, and I feel like shit every time. Like I just regret it, and yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I want to try it just to see if it's as bad as people say.
And my favorite is In-N-Out, definitely.
Oh yeah. In-N-Out is top tier. All right, man. And final thing before we wrap things up, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to end things off. What are 3 things that you are grateful for?
3 things I'm grateful for. Geez. My family. I'm grateful for them. I mean, I could be just like easy and just be like my family, my friends, my house. I worked hard to get this house. It's not like an awesome house, but it's a nice little house on a lake in Florida. And I went through the process of trying to buy a house, which anyone who does that, especially when you're a creative and don't show any income, it's not fun and easy to do. But getting this house felt really great. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that people are appreciative of like the Chucky franchise. I mean, it's been part of my life since I was 6 years old, basically as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful over the fact that they brought me back in it. You know, watching Part 3 and Bride and Seed come out and be a big deal and having nothing to do with it didn't feel great. You know. Mm-hmm. So for that to come full circle and for Andy to kind of seal his fate as the biggest nemesis of this cultural icon is bizarre. And maybe I don't like the fame all that much, but I like the significance. Mm-hmm. I like that it's impactful to people. People write me all the time and say that, you know, they have memories with their family watching Chucky when they were kids. Chucky really gets into people's psyche because especially if it terrified them when they were young. Mm-hmm. So I know that the fans that I've met at these conventions, and I maybe I joke around about, you know, when annoying messages and stuff, because there are plenty of that, but mm-hmm. the majority, 98% of everybody has been just so appreciative and thankful and gracious. And I know what it's like to be a massive fan of things. I've seen Nine Inch Nails 70 times in concert. When I met Trent Reznor, I was shaking like a leaf. It meant everything to me. And, you know, for people that aren't a big Nine Inch Nails fan, they'll never understand how much that means to me. And the same could be said for Chucky. Unless you're really, really invested emotionally and your time and sometimes your money, especially with $500 good guy dolls out there that you just have to have. When people are invested like that, I know that their appreciation is genuine. And they are very willing to show it to me. And so I super appreciate that. And my girlfriend, my cats, and I guess this brat over my shoulder.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, man. Like, this is really, honestly,
my pleasure, dude. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
The podcast is it's fun, but it's difficult. It's a lot of work. And you came prepared. You had good questions.
Oh, thank you.
Made it entertaining. you asked more about me than just the doll, and I appreciate that. So,
oh, thank you. I appreciate your words, man. Thank you so much. This is a dream come true, dude. I am so grateful. I will literally never forget this day, man.
See what I mean? That's the type of appreciation that I can't help but be so grateful for. Because I know you mean it, and I got to tell you that it doesn't go unnoticed by me and the whole Chucky family. We all love the support that you guys give us. So.
Awesome, man. Well, the support is not going anywhere, man. Let's keep this going, man. And I'm excited for what's next for you, man. I really hope to see you in the new Chucky series, man. I'm super looking forward to it.
Look forward to it because you're really going to enjoy it with me or without me.
Let's pray it's with you, man.
All right.
All right. Thanks again so much for your time, Alex, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right, you too.
All right. All right. How's that for an interview? I told you this was a special one, man. I'm super grateful that I got to do this interview, and man, it's so crazy. I'll literally cherish this interview as long as I live. This is so freaking badass, especially because Chucky and Child's Play is one of my all-time favorite franchises and movies. Like, I'm speechless. I literally don't know what to say right now. That's how freaking badass this was. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to subscribe right now. Once again, turn on post notifications so you never miss any future videos. So guys, that is going to be it from me today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys next time.